CAPTCHAs. These are something which you might have come across on a daily basis, especially if you frequently do activities like creating new accounts or making payments on the internet. CAPTCHA basically stands for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to tell computers and humans apart. And as the name suggests, it is a simple and a straightforward test that was designed in a way that it would be very easy for humans and almost impossible for computers or robots, also known as bots, to solve, thereby restricting them access to performing activities like creating new accounts, summoning information, or mostly spamming or misusing a service online. So in this episode of Tech Explained, we are going to talk in detail about what are CAPTCHAs, why do we need them, and how actually do they work. Let's dive right in. The most common CAPTCHA test that you might often see on websites is the one that asks you to enter a string of characters or numbers displayed to you in the form of a distorted or an unclear image, or asking you to type out the letters you hear from an audio if you're unable to comprehend the image. The basic idea behind this test is to make sure that only humans can bypass this and use the services or perform an activity, and that bots could be restricted so that they will be unable to pass this test due to its complexity. Restricting bots by this way will ensure that the resources and the services provided by the website or an online application will remain useful to everyone and is not tampered or affected by any unwanted bots or spammers. CAPTCHAs are also a great way to protect websites from denial of service attacks or brute force attacks, where a hacker or an attacker attempts to drain the resources of a website by using hundreds of bots to request the website at the same time, or try using different combinations of login ID and passwords multiple times until it gets access to a website or an account. Placing a CAPTCHA in place will make sure such scenarios are impossible, as the bots will not be able to pass the CAPTCHA test, thereby stopping them from proceeding any further. However, the problem with the text-based CAPTCHA test is that while it was intended to make it difficult or impossible for the bots to solve, it eventually became too complicated and distorted. Even humans started to feel that it was hard or impossible to pass the test, and it just takes a lot of time when it was supposed to be a simple and a straightforward process. Therefore, to make it even more simpler, newer algorithms were designed and an image-based CAPTCHA was formed. You might be familiar with this as well, the CAPTCHA which asks you to select the images with cats or street lights, or with a bunch of images to verify that you are a human. This type of CAPTCHAs are called reCAPTCHAs and is developed by Google, which extracts texts and images from various sources like digitized books, real world images or texts, and displayed them as CAPTCHAs for the verification test. Google also developed an even more advanced and a much simpler version of CAPTCHA called the No CAPTCHA, which is essentially the I am not a robot box you see on some websites, where you just need to tick a box to pass a human verification test. While on the surface it seems very simple and that anyone can pass the test, including bots, there is actually a lot more to this test than it might seem on the first glance. Google starts tracking your movements on the website the moment you visit the page with the CAPTCHA, and monitor things like how you move your mouse cursor, what kind of pages you visited before reaching this page, even your IP address, cookies, and other information about you that would help it determine whether you are a human or a robot. Some of these CAPTCHA algorithms developed by Google are advanced enough to determine whether a visitor is a legitimate person or a bot with the help of his browsing history and other activities on the internet, and thereby completely eliminating the need to even displaying a CAPTCHA to the user, and thus improving the overall user experience on that particular website or online application. However, if there are not enough information to accurately determine the legitimacy of the user, the CAPTCHA will then be displayed for that particular user for verification purposes. However, just like everything has a disadvantage, the usage of reCAPTCHA and other types of CAPTCHAs also comes with their own sets of cons. For example, the main one of them is privacy concerns, as some of these CAPTCHAs need to analyze and access private information about the users, like their browsing habits, IP address details, and so on, to determine their legitimacy. There are also other issues like verifying visually impaired users, breaking the flow of the user, or ruining the user experience by displaying CAPTCHAs at unexpected points during the browsing experience, and so on. But right now, CAPTCHAs are kind of a necessary evil, and since they do more good than bad, there are no perfect solution or an alternate cure for CAPTCHAs at the moment. We are left with no choice but to embrace them and hope that someday we would develop an alternate, advanced, and a better solution that would replace CAPTCHAs as a way to verify humans before bots become sophisticated enough to beat us at our own game. Until then, we need to keep proving to computers that we are not what they think we are. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Tech Explained. Make sure to subscribe if you like our content and if you want more interesting and useful episodes like this one.